Hello, Tanzania, and welcome back to another episode with your favorite yappers, me, Joanne Muita, together with...
Hi, everyone. I'm Lucinda.
And we're here with our very special guest.
My name is Patrick Foya, an executive, a human resource professional for the last 25 years. Currently part of leadership in the banking sector. And but apart from that, I am also an executive coach and a part-time lecturer. Wow. And it's a pleasure to be here. My first podcast, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much for making the time for us. It's an honor to have you. So today we want to talk about reintegrating into Tanzania's workforce. For those of you guys joining us for the first time or listening to the podcast for the first time, we talk about all the different challenges that returning Tanzanians often face when coming back home. Everything from family, from relationships to social settings and so forth. And today we want to look at specifically the reintegration into Tanzania's workforce and some of the challenges that people tend to face when coming back, joining the workspace in different career levels, from, those coming back straight from uni to those mid-level careers, personnel, those who are now executives and so forth. So I think the challenges with all these different categories of people are a bit different. So as we're starting, just to set and get a bit of context, Patrick, I would like for you to just paint like a quick picture for us of Tanzania's current workforce landscape and what you think has changed, the last couple of years.
Thank you. Very tough question. Workforce landscape, I think we are much better than when I started, as I said, 25 years ago, in terms of the quality of people we have, in terms of the exposure that we have, the education sector has improved so much, from primary school up to university. In the last 25, 30 years, I think we have, probably close to 30 universities, but also, the international schools and the like. Growing up, I remember a lot of parents having to take their kids to Kenya and Uganda and elsewhere, Malawi, to get that exposure. Not necessary anymore. Yeah. And now probably you have kids that have grown up here who not as Tanzanian as they should be in terms of, the kind of education and exposure that they've had and the lifestyle they've had. Yeah. So I think the supply is much better. You get people with, divergent thinking with different levels of exposure. English, I've worked mostly in corporate, in multinationals, where it's important to be multilingual. So the caliber of people that we're getting certainly is much better than, 30, 25 years ago, in my humble opinion. Yeah.
And the way you put it is painting a picture that there is intense competition right now, right? As you said, there are those who have grown up here, but they're not as Tanzanian, in quotes and all that. But there are those coming back, so when we talk about that reintegration back into Tanzania's workforce, what do you think that means for the Tanzanian context?
Interesting question. I think when it comes to reintegration, it's always a challenge when one has been educated or has lived outside for a while. Over the years, I've seen individuals facing, different types of challenges coming back into the society, into the workforce. Start with me. Yes, it was a long time ago. But when you come in, there are challenges that you face culturally.
Yeah.
if you've lived outside for a while, there are some nuances you don't really comprehend.
Yeah.
But also, people tend to see you as privileged, you know.
Yeah.
Una bahati, una mtoto akishua, you know. So sometimes there's a little bit of dharau that comes with that, you know. People doubting your ability and capability. But I think the most important thing is to try and understand the people and focusing on what you have to deliver and basically build your interpersonal skills in order to deliver with the people that you work with.
Do you think it's easier or harder for people who have, like, let's say, studied abroad or have been abroad for a while and they come back and try and find jobs here? Do you think it's a bit easier for them or harder?
I think yeah, good question. I think probably easier. When my first job was at a cigarette factory, and I think back then, this American company, the focus was to really get people that are exposed, switched on, and there's a lot of effort to get people from abroad, go and recruit abroad. As I said, over time, I think the supply side has changed because there are a lot of people internally who are exposed. Back then, I think it was even much easier because those people that studied abroad were in demand amongst many of the multinationals, the banks, manufacturing, as I said. But I think to date, I just did a graduate recruitment program about 2 years ago. 99% of the people have grown up locally. I've gone to the schools, not only academics, academic, whatever, internationals, most of them. Some of them are some of these high caliber local schools and Catholic schools. And so the supply side has changed. Like historically, kujibu swali lako, it was always easier, I think.
Yeah.
Or if you're coming from abroad, especially amongst multinationals, we run for you. Okay. We run for you because you better English, exposure. You can work in a multicultural environment. Kwa hiyo, as a HR professional, yes, we tended to put a premium, and there was a lot of effort in going abroad to recruit. And you're not hunting a specific skills. Sometimes you're going out to hunt for some technical skills that maybe is not here. But no, you just needed that whole
the package.
The package, the multicultural exposure. Yeah, it was easier. Nowadays, I don't know. I think the supply side is different because competition. You can come from abroad, like you meet people here who are also exposed, switched on, aggressive, and if you're not switched on, pamoja na abroad yako, watakupita kwenye interviews.
I feel like this is something a lot of people really need to hear because there is still that perception for some out there that because I have exposure, because I'm living in so-and-so country, when I go home, I'm going to apply for a job, I'm going to get callbacks, I'm going to get hired. And then you get here and situation is so different on the ground.
Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah, there's a lady who actually, when we posted that question as before we began the podcast, her expectation was exactly this. She applied for jobs. She thought because of her exposure, she had an advantage. And she came to Tanzania and it did not happen. And she was here for months on end, being sent to one place or another. I think she actually may have fallen scam, and I also kind of did, to those recruiters who connect you to job opportunities. You pay like 10,000 K. Yeah.
Very spot on. I think it's a hangover from the past.
Yeah.
Now, in my mind, Nadhani, from the past, the 80s, 70s, where, there were limited schools that gave you exposure. Most of us were educated in public schools. Kwa hiyo kuna hangover fulani where some people have entitlement of sort.
Yeah.
Just because, I was living in London. Kwa hiyo, it's a given.
Yeah.
even if your attitude is
Like a sense of
shitty, you know.
entitlement. Almost.
Yes, exactly. You just feel when I throw. I've been to London. I worked with, I was in Germany. You feel like automatic. No, there are people here, young, aggressive, switched on, with
Hungrier than
vision,
you, yeah.
hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the landscape has changed.
Sure. And I think also exposure, nowadays you don't necessarily have to travel to America or England or whatever just to know what's going on there.
Yeah. Everything is literally in our fingertips. Yeah.
Fingertips, your phone,
Yeah.
your TV. When I was growing
Schools
up,
have better options as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Growing up, the only radio station I could listen to in Dar es Salaam in the 80s was RTD, and then 12 o'clock English service. But now, I mean, kwanzia DSTV, there's so many options. Kwa hiyo, culturally we're different, Yeah. Kwa hiyo, if you're coming with that attitude kwamba I'm entitled and your game is not, up there in terms of your skills, your attitude, you will be left out.
Okay. Those are the challenges that perhaps those coming back would face. But what about the employers? Do you think they are also on the lookout for people with like unconventional career paths? Do you still need to come have like a proper traditional CV because you're coming from abroad, you highlight that and all of that, go the traditional route, or employers these days a bit more open to unconventional paths?
Thank you. I think it probably would depend on the sector, but I would agree with you to some extent that we don't follow traditional thinking or traditional paths. And an example that comes to mind recently when, for example, I told you about the graduate program.
Yeah.
I remember us having a big debate about one applicant. I interviewed Wells, very Swiss on, has a degree in fashion design. And we're here in a bank, looking for graduate trainees. So interviewed well, but the debate was like, no, lakini amesoma, fashion design. No, but yuko Swiss on. Amejibu maswali vizuri, ana drive. Yeah. Kwa hiyo mwishoni baada back and forth tukakubaliana kumchukua na I think so far na thrive. That's one case that comes to mind. Yeah. Kwa hiyo tunajaribu kuangalia it's not about the traditional degree, and I'm sure with some sectors or some types of jobs there's more flexibility than others. Lakini the focus right now is not about that linear progression, nimeanza kama HR assistant nikaishia kuwa HR director. You can have a multitude of experiences, and that's very important kwa sababu tunahitaji watu ambao wako agile, watu wako agile.
As a career coach, is this something that you actually coach people on?
No, well, I'm a coach, like 360-degree coach. No, I don't come across such cases per se. Maybe within the family setting, there's some youngsters I've had to talk to, including my own children. My daughter was at uni now. But no, I tend to coach people mostly in leadership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what about, let's say, the mid-level career professionals? Coming back, this person has worked already out there. They have quite perhaps a good CV. What challenges do you think they might face when trying to reintegrate back into Tanzania's workforce?
I think Lucy is similar. Similar at entry level as well as mid-level career. Reintegration is always a challenge. And I would say also malezi also counts, If you have somebody who has lived in Australia all his life, never came back, they'll be completely shocked when they come. Kwa sababu pamoja na exposure that we talk about, but culture is culture. Kuna nuances of our cultures that would be, that they would find shocking. Tanzanians, tend to be, sijui niite neno gani tu, we are sort of humble, hatupendi majivuno sana, kwa hiyo ukija na attitude saa nyingine kwamba I'm the
majivuno is like what, bragging.
If you're too out there, sometimes it might be difficult. You have to, approach the team with some sort of humility, and yes, show your value, but also appreciate their value.
Yeah,
and I think the people that I've seen struggle are people who maybe come with that superiority complex.
I feel like there's a very thin line, as you're saying, because, for example, you're out there, you're nurtured career-wise to be assertive, to put yourself out there, for
Nakuelewa.
I want to give this example.
So you are being you.
You're being you, exactly. Like you've been raised to be confident, not shy away from things. And you come into a corporate culture where
it's seen as bragging.
It's seen as bragging, and you have colleagues who, for example, feel like, let's say a challenge is issued or something needs to be done, they would rather sit back and, wait for the boss to pick somebody to do it or be assigned, as opposed to being proactive, that this has been put forth. It's something I feel like I might be able to shine in. For you, that is career growth, but you have colleagues who would look at you as anajua sana, or, a lot of crap would go on with that. So that mismatch in career cultures is what we're trying to get underneath today, because
I feel like if you're too humble as well, people don't take you seriously.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You become a doormat.
I think it's an intricate balance. I hear you. You are, that's how you are brought up.
Yeah.
That's how the education system you went through built you up. And balancing is an intricate art. Tanzania is a very hierarchical society.
Yeah.
If you're in corporates, you won't feel it much, and especially the multinationals. But if you work in non-corporate, maybe government sector, it is totally different. Yes, the boss will have to pick. The boss is everything. So I don't know how to advise, how to calibrate. You just have to read the room and
I have to ask another question.
But yet not lose you yourself.
Your individuality.
Your individuality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucy,
I make her laugh.
Is this a little cheeky question?
In Erike, it hit something
You did.
she has experienced before. Tell us, Lucy.
I'm worried about asking this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I feel like my fellow countrymen out there need to be aware of this. There's also that notion, like in a lot of Tanzanian corporate cultures or work environments, that bosi wako ni Mungu. And you find people who grovel to the boss. And for me, for example, now this is my personal experience. I don't know if it would speak to others, but where I grew up, where I went to school, the first places I worked in, your boss is still human.
Yes.
And they make mistakes. They're not always right. And so we were trained and taught, even in uni. I remember my basics of PR lecturer, there were things she was teaching us about how to handle crisis and stuff like that. And she used to tell us that even if I'm your boss, if you feel like you have a better relationship with the media and, you feel like my plan is not going to work, don't be afraid to tell me, And so from uni, all the way to my first job and everything, you're taught that, yes, he's your boss or she's your boss. Respect them, give them their due respect and all of that. But if they are not right, if you feel like your cause of action is better, speak up.
Yeah.
Same thing as home. My dad would be like, why are you unajingatangata? Unajingatangata, like speak confidently, So even with home, like kuna muda people would look at me like, how do you talk to your parents like that? I'm like, they did this to me.
I can totally relate,
You know?
because my dad is also in HR, and he always tells me you need to empathize with your clients, because they might be coming to work, but you don't know what's happening in their lives outside of work. You
Exactly.
know? And they don't know what's happening in my life outside of work either. So like when you have that relationship with your coworkers, of course you can't overstep certain boundaries because they're still your boss at the end of the day. But when you build that relationship with your coworkers where they're comfortable enough to be like, hey, I don't think this is working the way it should be, or whatever. And they did the same thing with us growing up as kids. They're like, you know what, if we ever do anything that will piss you off or you just don't like, just talk, because at the end of the day, no one is a mind reader, you know. No one is going to know what's going on internally, and you're the one who's going to end up suffering.
So now my question is I had to learn the hard way, and I feel like I'm still walking that thin line, because I do have moments where people would look at me like, how can you talk to your boss like that? And I'm like, you know, but there are people who are going to come back and meet similar situations and not know how to navigate that. And I know it might cost some of them their jobs, because you never know what kind of a person your boss is. They might feel threatened. They might fire you. You lose your job and all of that. Not every boss is as understanding or takes the time to understand the individual people on their teams. So people coming back now, this is a nuance they will have to deal with. How would you advise them to navigate such situations where you're trying to assert yourself, your team feels a certain way, you're trying to assert yourself, it comes off as you're being disrespectful to your boss? How do you navigate that?
Tricky one, but I think it's doable. I think it's an intricate balance, as I told you. First of all, you know, when you come, try not to be isolated. I have a couple of friends that have gone through, or seek out people that have gone through similar experiences. So if somebody reaches out to you, they're getting a job, they're starting a job, they grew up wherever, in Hungary. If they reach out to you and you know, have you as a mentor, I think you can
Oh, I
tell
totally
them,
would.
Yeah.
I totally would.
But also, I think to understand, as I said, the cultural intricacies, you can talk to your boss and express different point of view. In Hungary, maybe you can do it in public in front of everybody. In Tanzania, and depending on the organization, be mindful. Peleke pembeni, mwombe muda pembeni. Kwa sababu ukianza push back right there in front of everybody, sometimes, you know, I might be an understanding as a boss, but, you know, the next boss is not. And anakuwa threatened, you know, and he read kama disrespect. When you read the room, I think the ability to read the room is so important, and say, okay, I have, okay, maybe right there, bring your point, but respectfully so, you know. Kuna lugha za kutumia za, you know, I think mnaelewa, sio unachomoka tu unapayuka kwamba, you know, I don't agree with you.
We need to have like a coaching for
hata mimi mwenyewe kama kiongozi nitakuwa nani Joan, nitachukia, you know. Unapayuka tu kwamba no, you know. No, lakini kwenye culture yetu kuna namna ya kusema kwamba you have a different point of view. Lakini pia
teach you how to have a conversation, because there's a difference between me coming up to you as my boss and being like, hey, I don't like how this is going. Can we like solve it in some way? Or I could stand on top of the table and just yell out that you're a really sucky boss and things are not moving and stuff, you know? So like conversation and tone is very, very important. Very important, and it changes the trajectory of what you want to do, you know? Does that make sense?
John, nataka unipe tano, manake what you said is very spot on.
But I do want to throw a wrench in that as well, because a tone really is everything. I agree with that. But human nature or how we are in terms of our personalities also plays a role, right? What I might deem a respectful tone might come off as harsh to
Yeah, to
somebody
somebody
else.
else, yeah.
And I know it's a bit rude sometimes, but I tell people that I'm not responsible for how you take certain things. I said what I said, and I stand on 10 toes with that, you know. And if something happens, for example, and I'm not happy about it, I would write, let's say, an email to my boss. And I know I've done this before because something had happened back then. And I remember writing an email and I laid out the situation. Like I said, my dad was you have to have order in your complaint, you know. So I stated the problem. I gave them time frames of when this had been happening, timestamps and everything. And then I requested that it be dealt with. Otherwise, I would escalate it. And then obviously I copied in all the responsible parties. And I remember the person who was supposed to handle the situation came to me and said to me, "Mbona kama unatufokea?" I'm like, how did I wafokea? Because I didn't even type that email when I was pissed.
You've taken your time.
I took my time. I sat down. I analyzed from when the first time it happened, when I raised it with my boss, how it was dealt with, how I tried to follow it up, the feedback I was given the first 2 times it happened. This is the 3rd time. How can you say now for care? Had I done this when the incident happened, I would say, yeah, probably I was like really pissed off. Emotions were still high and everything. But again, if I look at that email, until this date, I look at that email and I'm like, my tone was fine. But you took it as unafokewa. And now how am I supposed to navigate that situation? Because that told me that whenever I had a situation, if it did not sit right by this person, or if it made this person look or feel a certain way, then I am kwafokea.
It's giving guilty consciousness.
Yeah, they want to play victim over a situation that they should fix. And now that was just like one incident, but such feelings where people say that the tone and everything, I think we tend to abuse that in corporate spaces.
Yeah.
We say your tone was not right because I don't like that you called me out for something, but my tone was fine. And I feel like in the workspace here, Tanzania, we tend to be complacent and we navigate the loudest person or the person who plays the victim card the best tends to be the one that is right.
Oh my God,
is
Lucy,
it?
can I please tell you a funny example?
I haven't had those experiences, yeah.
For example, if you're going to get like some documents from somewhere, let's say your passport or your visa or whatever, and you go and you know the person behind the counter maybe is taking their time and you're like, lady, I'm on a time crunch here, like can you hurry up? That's when they'll go even slower because they know that they have the power in their hands. But when you really humble yourself and you're like, you know, I'm traveling tomorrow, that's when at least they'll hear you out. And it's so annoying.
I know.
It is like service wise, I get that. But like if this like a once in a while kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
But this is people you have to see day in,
Day in, day out, yeah.
and not everyone is built to grovel or, you know, to sugarcoat things, you know. Now, we do have, I've heard rather of situations where the HR professional, you take it to them and the way they handle the situation, sometimes that actually solve the problem. It's just like putting a Band-Aid on it, but not actually fixing the root cause of the situation. And in the long run, it becomes frustrating for somebody who is trying to figure out all these nuances, but then they have to jump over hurdles at every step of the whole journey. They keep getting roadblocked every opportunity. So
it's a tricky one. I don't know whether I can help you with that. Well, first of all, what happened in that situation? How did it end? Or is it a long story?
It's not a long story. I think I should. I can give you the details later off camera. Sorry, guys.
But you solved. Did they understand your point of
actually,
view?
it wasn't solved in a way that would help me. Matter of fact, what happened with the whole situation was the perpetrator's supervisor or boss or whatever came and talked to my boss and tried to apologize on behalf of this person because we're short-staffed. And I'm like, so because you're short-staffed or because this person is a certain way, then I have to put up with their destructive behavior towards me. Like, and you know, when I was called and given this feedback, it was a final decision. It was never taken into account that this is how I might perceive it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how? That doesn't make sense because this person might do it to another person or might come do it a second time. And this, mind you, this is not the first time this has happened. This is like the third time. That's why I escalated the report. I've reported it twice. And this is the third time this person was seen on camera, you know, and you're telling me that because you're short-staffed, I'm supposed to put up with it. Like you're making your problems mine at the expense of my welfare in the company, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky situation. But as I said earlier, the idea, as much as we want to reintegrate, is not to lose ourselves.
Yeah.
Not to lose your originality. Because culture impacts culture both ways. When you're coming from wherever you've lived, you also come with good aspects. That's why companies seek you out as well. The attitude, the mindset, the exposure, and when you come, you also help infect others, you know, with these positive attributes that you bring. So the idea is not to yield everything to a boss, a supervisor who's negative, who wants to either bully you. I don't know what word to use, but you know. So I think you did the right thing. Sometimes when the need is there, you know, escalate. And in most corporates that I've worked for, at least, there are always mechanisms to even whistleblow where, you know, some intolerable acts, happen repetitively. Yeah. So, yeah. Sijui kama nimekujibu vizuri, lakini sijui kama kuna textbook answer for that.
I don't think there's a textbook answer. And I feel like this is going to bring us to the whole purpose of having HR on this conversation. A lot of reported issues, unless they're really big, really impactful, for example, harmful to the team and staff, some of them do get swept under the rug or they're dealt with kienyeji, for lack of a better term. Now, I feel like there should perhaps be efforts made to look into the welfare of people who are now trying to reintegrate back into you know, the work culture and the work society and so forth. Now, I know it's not common practice. You know, I don't know if you've heard of efforts, for example, for people coming back, you know, people looking for support from HR. How can you help me navigate this and that? Or do people just suffer in silence?
I think this is why orientation is very important. Like, I feel a lot of companies don't actually have orientations. Like, for example, when I started university, we had a whole week of orientation just to like teach us about everything on campus, like safety, blah, 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 blah. And I think this is something most companies should integrate, because I feel like when someone new comes into the company, people kind of just expect them to know what's happening, or they learn while they're on the job. But I think like taking a day or two to just really integrate people like in a safe way, like, and let them know this is okay and this is not, is like really important, you know?
You're right. I mean, orientation is critical, but in this case, it's probably not enough. I'll be frank with you. In all my working life, I don't think I've had any initiative in any of the organizations that I've worked for to reintegrate locals, returning to Tanzania. I don't think, I'm still searching my memory. I don't think so. But I have an idea of what can be done. It's a little bit beyond orientation. Working for multinationals, quite often you hire a lot of experts. I've worked in shipping, I've worked in a cigarette factory, telecoms, and you get people en masse. Sometimes you have up to 20, 30 experts. And we've always had initiatives to sort of settle them. When they come, you take them to Sijui Kiswahili Institute, they learn lugha, lakini pia they learn the culture and the history. And I think similar tactics could be used to reintegrate locals returning and reintegrating into the workforce. I think, unfortunately, I would admit, when you don't have a critical mass, sometimes maybe then there's no formalized program. When I say critical mass, kwamba mwaka mmoja umepata Lucy karudi, umemwajiri, sijui marketing, sijui digital, whatever. Baada ya miaka mitatu, karudi Joan, umemrecruit. Kwa hiyo kuna lack structure. Utafanya tu orientation ya kawaida. But I think this conversation also opens up, my eyes kwamba kuna uhitaji wa kuwa na specifics. So if I've hired, 10 people, but amongst them 2 are returnees, I would need to do a session for them that is more than just orientation. Orientation, like for us, it's almost a week-long thing. Plus you'll have a buddy to show you around and whatever. But if I have a Lucy or a John, I would need to go beyond, suppose kwenye culture, lugha, and other nuances ili kuwasaidia ku reintegrate. Nadhani hiyo need inakuwa apparent through these conversations. But I don't remember having, but I've done plenty for expatriates coming in.
Another thing I do want to touch on is, I really shouldn't do this, but okay. There's also there's a lot of things that in the workplace we tend to say, ndo culture ya kibongo. A lot of things somebody would do something offensive. Somebody might say something offensive. And when you call them out on it, atakwambia, bwana, that's normal. Hiyo kawaida Tanzania, and I feel for somebody coming back, that it's not normal. It's a breach of, for example, personal boundaries, professional boundaries, and all of that. And I'll give you an example, right? Hugging. Okay, it might seem harmless to people, but for others, you're invading my personal space. I, for one, don't like just being hugged. Like if I hug a person, I know you like that. We are friends like that. But you get to certain workplaces where people just hug on each other, and when you push back and you're like, I'm not comfortable with this, the other party will take offense in it, especially if it's an opposite gender. They take offense in that. And it might seem like a minute thing, that maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe I'm being that word. I don't think it's such a big deal that I should perhaps address it with HR. But over time, it builds some resentment. It builds unnecessary professional walls. And you find yourself not being able to work with this person to the full extent that you could be able to, because you feel uncomfortable. And every time you want to voice something, this other person will be like, oh, she's just overreacting, or he's just, and how would HR fit in that? Because I know it's not something that HR can act on unless there's like a formal complaint or something. But then also, for, let's say, a person like me who's been feeling like this person hugging on me just feels uncomfortable. How do I even breach that to HR without feeling like I'm overreacting, or HR is going to look at me with a side eye like, why are you making a big deal out of a hug? You know?
But it's important.
It is important. That's just one example,
assault.
but yeah, it's just one example. But I've learned in the few years that I've been back that a lot of things that somebody would want to put boundaries on, they tend
You're
to
not
be
taken
not
seriously.
just you're not taken seriously. When you do put a boundary on it, you're seen as overreacting. You're not like a team player. Mtu anaweza kakutext kitu and you try to put a boundary like, we're colleagues, I would like to have this conversation to stay professional. Or you already have, let's say, boundaries. I don't like people calling me for work after 10 p.m. You know, and mtu anakupigia simu, mtu anakutext and you're like, this could have waited until tomorrow.
Could have been an
But
email.
yeah, could have been an email, or because somebody, the nature of the conversation that this person tends to have with you on text feels uncomfortable. You tell them, can we just have conversations via email, you know, just so there's that transparency.
And why are you texting me
And
at
you
10
know,
o'clock
somebody
in the
takes
evening?
that as, why are you overreacting? Unajua huyu mtu yuko hivi, Patrick ndo kawaida yake. Achana naye, and he likes hugging people, but if you guys are okay with it, that's cool.
But I'm
But now, how do you breach these little inconveniences? How do you take them to HR and not feel like, because you're from outside, you feel like you're better than everybody else, you know?
because I don't want to be touched.
Yeah, a good one. I think as you're describing that scenario, what comes to mind is that sometimes that sounds to me like bad behavior or bad ethics being justified in the context of culture or Tanzania.
Yeah, friendliness.
Kwanza hiyo hugging yenyewe sijui kama ni kitu cha Tanzania. Sijui havikuwepo, vimekuja na hizi exposure za sasa. Kwa hiyo tusichanganye bad behavior na kuzijustify kwamba ni sehemu ya culture yetu. And anybody that tries to make you feel less off, kwambia hiyo ni kawaida, I think that's wrong. You have a right to you know, to put the boundaries. Hata mimi nina boundaries nyingi, you know, same za kazi. Maybe so never feel guilty. Never lose yourself, as I said, you know. Kwa sababu you also bring value with your exposure. How does HR come in? You know, for most professional organizations, ndio maana kuna documented, you know, code of conduct, code of ethics, kuna values imeandikwa ambazo ziko known, ambazo zinafundishwa whether during orientation or at routine intervals.
Ethics.
Kuna clear policies on sexual harassment and this and that, ambazo watu wanafundishwa ili kusaidia vitu kama hivi. Kwanza hatujaja ofisini kuhug. Sasa hiyo hug na, you know, there has to be a certain level of comfort mpaka tufike. Hata mimi ofisini kuna watu na hug, kuna watu wengine mmezoeana mnajikuta tu, you know, but not everybody, you know. And you know, men, but even female sometimes in those contexts do funny thing. Unamhug mtu, sometimes unaona the way anavyokuwa you know, kuna hidden you know, agenda in there, even for women, by the way. It's not just men. So you can clearly say this is not just a basic hug. Kwa hiyo professional organizations, lakini hata small and medium enterprises, ni kujitahidi kuwa na clear policies and practices that people are exposed to, not once off when you just join, but you know, repeat these trainings regularly.
And I
also you know, this is our code of conduct, this is, you know, these are our values, policies on, you know, how we interact, on sexual harassment and so forth. nadhani inasaidia kuintegrate. So when somebody breaks that the boundary, it's easy to address. It's easy to address. I hope nimekujibu sawa sawa. I'm blessed that in most organizations that I've worked for, hivyo vitu viko black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Saa nyingine kwenye jamii kuna, I've had a recent situation where a colleague ananiambia bana fulani ana kitabia hicho, labda kwenye sijui kuhug sijui hata but the question is documentation ziko wazi. Ni wewe tu umeamua kubana unakuja kuongea informally lakini otherwise vitu viko wazi kwamba if this happens, this is what, these are the consequences and these are the actions to take.
And I also think tying back to what Lucy was saying about, I think you said something about boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And the hugging thingy. I think after you've worked with somebody for a while, let's say 6 months or whatever, they kind of gain that confidence to be able to maybe like hug you or whatever. And it's like people forget that we are colleagues. We are not friends, So I feel like that becomes blurred at some point, and that's where all these issues arise, So I don't know how HR can tackle that, because it's not like I want to be an enemy with my colleague, but at the same time I want to draw that boundary like, hey, I'm here to do my work, you're here to do your work, and we live in separate cars at the end of the day, you know? So like, how do you handle...
Tough one. I think HR is a tough job.
It is.
It's art and science and social science.
And psychology and everything.
Again, education, but also, first of all, living the values yourself. I mean, if you are going around ongea ovyo, kuhug watu ovyo, mara umeshika watu, who's going to listen to you? Almost like you have to be a superman, superwoman, live the values. But continuous education. Some people come from all walks of life and experiences. Wengine wameanzia kazi kwenye maybe small and medium enterprises ambazo, au kwenye mazingira ambayo hizi policies hazipo, hizi practices hazipo. All goes. Bosi ndio owner, ndio tajiri, na ye mwenyewe kwanza anafanya vitu ambavyo viko shady. Kwa hiyo mtu anahamia Mwananchi, anahamia I don't know, a big bank, analeta hizo tabia. Cha kwanza ni awareness kwamba these are our values, this is a code of ethics, this is how we live here. Education and continuous education is very, very important. Ninaamini. Lakini also as not only HR, as leaders, live those values. Nisijibebe tu kama HR, lakini HR, if you are lucky enough to be in an organization where kuna HR department, we have to be the first ones to live those values as much as possible. Lakini the whole leadership has to live the values. If you are a CEO, and then you have, shady, then, nobody can, you won't feel comfortable to reach out to your director or manager kama na yeye tayari yuko. Nakwambia mbona kawaida, hamna kitu cha kawaida. Hamna kitu, huwezi kusema ni kawaida, hii ndio culture yetu. Harassment hamna any aspect of our culture. Na hizi makabila zetu sijui 100 na ngapi, hamna sema ambapo you can justify through culture kwamba this is no.
Ndo wanaume walivyo, ndo wanawake wanatakiwa kuwepo. Oh my God.
Pole.
Thank God I was born in this generation.
I roll my eyes every time I hear that. I'm like, my eyes get stuck at the back of my head. Please
Thank
don't.
God I wasn't born in like the 90s.
You wanted to say something?
Yeah, he said something about constantly learning and improving, and it kind of like gave me a flashback of my old school motto, which is education takes you places. And I was just there like, reminiscing. It's true, education does take you places.
It's true.
So
It is true. It is
Yeah.
true.
All right. So we're almost towards the end of our session. I feel like this one is more of a practical advice for returnees and maybe even for us who are here. But first of all, like from your experience, right? What skills do you think in today's workforce are non-negotiable, regardless of the industry?
I think the so-called soft skills. My office, they've renamed them. Jina haliji. The soft skills, the continue to be very, very important. I mean, I've still seen well qualified technical people who fail because they don't have, the ability to interact, the ability to communicate. So, your communication, written and spoken, your ability to interact with people from different age groups, cultures. Of course, computer skills must, AI, and it's no longer. When I was growing up, it was, unapelekwa darasa la MS Word. Now it's evolved. Everything is on the, kwa your IT and proficiency in using computers is important. What else? And I think then if you're a banker, your technical skills, if you're an engineer, yeah. But people who thrive and, climb up the ladder must have a great balance of technical and these things I have highlighted. So you come and nimevitaja vyote, I think those are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah.
Quickly. Yeah.
Okay. Now, just to sum up everything we've discussed today, what's one thing that you wish, or maybe not just one, a couple of things that you can think of that you wish any returning citizen or anyone re-entering back into the workspace, what things do you wish they knew before they started applying for jobs back in Tanzania?
Swali magumu. Kwanza mi nadhani kuna kitu tulikiongelea mwanzoni.
Yeah.
Competition is stiff. The supply of skills even internally is big compared to years back. Be at the top of your game. Don't take things for granted kwamba nimesomea sijui huku then mambo yataenda kirahisi. So you have to be on top of your game. I've seen people coming with the mentality kwamba sijui tunaonewa wivu kwa sababu I think find ways to manage that. Just find ways to integrate and deliver what you asked to deliver. Your key responsibilities and results areas. Find people that can help you land. Other people who've gone through similar experiences that can mentor you, and so that you don't have to repeat the same sort of mistakes.
Yeah.
But also don't lose yourself. Don't try to be Tanzania kuliko sasa ukawa docile, ukawa yani uka lose that those unique attributes that you have about you and your exposure, ukazipoteza kabisa for the sake of blending in.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
And you've actually answered my second question. I think if someone is struggling to adjust, what practical steps can they take to readjust? Yeah.
Yeah, reach out. Nani pia, for organizations pia, I think, as I said, maybe to be mindful of having enhanced orientation niite, or those that come from abroad who have stayed abroad for a while. Unajua unaweza kama umesoma hapa ukaenda Scotland for a 3-year degree, that's a different, lakini mtu amekaa 15-20 years abroad, labda sengine hata lugha ajui, but na Tanzania anataka kurudi back to contribute, I think you might have to have enhanced orientation for them. Kuhakikisha culturally they also settle in well.
No one man is an island, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know of any resources, perhaps groups, networks, platforms that can help somebody as they are, coming back, so that we don't fall scam to the job connectors of Tanzania?
That 10K in a new
That 10K, I shall never forget your 10K.
What was the 10K for? To get you a job?
To connect her to people who can get her a job.
Oh.
It's okay,
no.
Lucy.
So,
we live and learn.
Lucy.
And 10K.
Let me make sure I got your question. Do I have any group resources that can help you? Help one?
Platforms that are at least authentic, for someone searching for jobs, to avoid falling for the scammers.
There are many. I'm not sure whether I can list them all here. Maybe I can point them out. But now there are so many, for example, recruitment firms that are legit.
You'd actually be surprised about the information that people have out there. Like, yes, we know, for example, LinkedIn as a good platform, but there's so many madalalis, wakazi, so many HR professionals who can help you get a job when you land and all of that. And I kid you not, these guys invest in advertising outside.
Don't tell me.
That's how I fell scam for that.
I probably live in a corporate cocoon, so
you do.
I need to dig out more.
You really do.
I want to admit my weakness there. Madalali wengi.
Madalali ni wengi, and they can be very convincing. And for somebody ambaye hujajua how to sift the noise, you fall for it. Somebody comes and tells you that I've worked with so-and-so, our success rate ni kiasi fulani, and they are very convincing. And I kid you not, it took me coming back home to realize that Tanzanians know how to bluff. I didn't know that. I took people.
We're good.
We know how to bluff. And so I used to take people at,
face value.
You say you're an HR professional, so I would trust you. You've worked with so-and-so companies. Somebody would tell you, I've worked with Coca-Cola, I've worked with so-and-so, and you're looking at the companies and you're like, okay, I want to break into this particular industry. Maybe this person can help. Usijali, usajili, registration is 10K.
And then they go.
These people forwarded me only one application for a secretarial position. I'm like, me and secretarial position, wapi na wapi?
Oh my God, pole sana. That's
like, you asked for my CV, we sat there, we discussed my strengths. Why are you sending me a secretarial position? And so when I reached out and explained this to them, maybe there was an error. I remember this person answered me and told me, dada, kazi zikitokea tunakutumia.
Oh my Lord.
I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Thank God you dodged the bullet, because you would not have wanted to work in that work environment. Anyway.
But the money went.
The money went. It's not
10K.
They
made me pay 10K, bro.
Pole sana. No. I think maybe that's an area I need to learn about more. Lakini kubwa zipo. Sijui kama ni appropriate kuzitaja. Kuna many established HR firms that can help you can link you with the employers.
Please, zitaje.
But also,
here we are also a blueprint. Mtu akisikiliza kule, they're looking to come back. Let's give them resources that they need. We need to be better than the scammers.
Kuna kampuni kubwa nyingi, kina Empower, kulikuwa na Radar, bado ipo, those are the ones that come to mind quickly. Government yenyewe ina idara inaitwa Tanzania Employment Services Agency. that links employees and employers. I don't know how the success rate is. We try to work with them once. We're trying to meet our people with disability quota that we have set for ourselves. Zippo. I think those are the ones that come to mind and that I work with regularly. Kuna favorite HR services. Nyingine ambazo zikija
do we need to pay? Do people need to pay for this service?
I don't believe so. I'm surprised actually at the 20K story.
Guys,
10K, 20K.
The paying really bugged me.
Why should you pay to register? Because typically, if I'm an employer and I contracted this company, normally your salary is a fee that I pay for them to place you with me.
Oh, that should cover it.
Yeah, that should cover it. So that 10,000, it sounds like dalali workers you're saying.
It really.
I think I want to suppose any legit firm would not do that.
Yeah.
When mtu alikuwa na collect kwa watu wengi.
Okay, good to know. So I hope you guys are listening out there. Guys, don't fall scam like me.
Don't fall scam.
It's not cool. It's probably the only 10K you have left. Don't
that
fall
10K
for it.
for something
At least umepitia ili wafundishe
wengine. Like, talk to me, guys. Talk to me.
Lucy is a good mentor. You guys reach out. Reach out to Lucy.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to the end of our session. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us, shedding light on the workforce in the country. And I hope we've answered some questions that people might have. And we will continue having the conversation. We do appreciate you taking the time.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if you have anything you would like to say to our audience before we close.
Just to express, appreciation for the, opportunity to have this conversation. I hope I've done some justice to the topic at hand.
You have.
But also a learning experience for me. Not only my first podcast, but also in discussing this, there's some insights I got, you know, of the specific need for returnees to have specialized programs. So I'm also working out with a lot that I can initiate in my workplace and elsewhere. So I think, thank you very much for this time.
My pleasure. It's been a joy. So as we're learning, reintegration, it's never a one size fits all situation. And like I said, these are conversations we're going to keep on having. Until next time, guys, tune into our YouTube, listen to our podcasts, comment, ask questions. We'll be ready to engage with you. Until next time, I'm Lucinda and
I am Joanne.
And see you next time.
Bye.
Cheers.